into session at 7:56, and now I'll turn the floor over to our guests.
Don't you have to say what it was for, Fred?
It was property, because that's before we went in.
Well, thank you for inviting us. I'm Lynn Bush from West County Planning Commission, and I'm here with Mike Rodick, our senior planner, who's been working with Morrisville. And just a brief preview, and then Mike will do the talking. We've been working with some of your members of your Economic Development Committee, off and on for maybe a year or so. We are working with Morrisville under a program that we have at the county called our Economic Development Initiative, where we try and provide services and help communities who are interested in really making their, improving their communities, making the economy more vibrant and vital, and providing services that are really tailored to the individual community. So what Mike and his staff have done is to spend a lot of time doing, I guess, reconnaissance in the borough. So what we're going to show you tonight is a presentation that has been prepared that reviews Morrisville, some of the assets, some of the conditions, some of our findings about the borough itself. We actually gave this presentation to the staff, so we discussed it amongst the planners on the planning staff. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike. He'll walk you through it, and the purpose is to bring you up to date on what we've done, get your feedback, and make sure that we're that we know what we need to know to continue to work with you. Thank you.
So when we met with the EDC, borough's EDC, the big focus out of those discussions was the downtown. Really, that's the feedback we got back from the members there. You know, what can we do with our downtown? And that's what we kind of really spent our time, you know, researching, doing field work, doing some analysis. And what we're going to show tonight is sort of that process that we went through in terms of looking at the conditions and looking at some of the larger factors going on with the downtown, and then try to really establish some sort of way forward to help Morrisville's downtown. So this presentation, you can just see the brief overview there. We're going to look at the study area. We're going to look at the land use. We're going to do a little visual tour. We're going to look at the zoning requirements, parcel ownership. We're going to have an economic perspective on the downtown and Morrisville itself. And then we're going to come up with a couple conclusions, as well as discuss some products and ideas that the borough could possibly use in trying to revitalize this area. All right, so this is an aerial of Morrisville's commercial district. I realize it's probably a little bit difficult for you to see. This is the C1 commercial district, and this black line is the boundary of that district. This is Bridge Street here. This is the canal here. Okay. This is Delmore. This is Pennsylvania. We are right here. And this is the levee path. And this is the Trenton Lakes Bridge right there. Okay. All right, so it just gives you an idea of the general study area that we're going to focus on. We're not going to just stop at these black lines here, but this is sort of establish the general area that we decided to focus on. All right, so this map shows the land use of the downtown area. For those of you who aren't familiar with land use codes, red is commercial, yellow is single-family detached dwellings, orange is multifamily, blue is institutional government uses, purple here is, yes, it's mining manufacturing, and the light purple is vacant. Those are vacant uses. So it gives you an idea of the mix of uses that the downtown area does have. It is mostly focused on commercial in appropriate areas. However, we still have residential uses right here in the downtown area. And that could be, that could be a good thing, or that could be, a bad thing, depending upon, the quality of the residences and as well as how that mixes in with the overall land uses. All right, so we're back to our overview of the commercial district, and what we're going to do right now is do a little visual tour. All right, so a staff member and I were able to come out a couple months ago and just take a walk around and just sort of identify what we thought were examples of some outstanding issues within the commercial district. A couple of things that we found were the number of auto-oriented uses that we saw within the downtown district. Now, typically in a downtown setting, we want to see what we call walkable uses, uses that you can, walk right to, that have a presence on the street that is friendly to a pedestrian. We want to create that vibrancy of a downtown area, of a commercial district. And when we look at these particular uses here, we have a gas station here at the corner of Pennsylvania and Bridge Street. We have the auto shop here along Bridge Street. Actually, it's right here. And then we have this smoke shop, convenience store here on the corner of Delmore and Bridge Street. And so we say that these are, obviously a gas station that's an auto-oriented type use. And these other two uses, when you have this sort of parking in the front, it's not friendly to the pedestrian. It doesn't create that vibrancy, that tapestry that you would see in a typical downtown setting. Other issues that we saw were older housing stock that doesn't appear to be maintained very well. You can see this group of row homes here. There's some issues, maintenance issues going on with these homes here. This home obviously has a number of residences. This is a multifamily. You can see the number of electrical meters here. The siding here is very old and is in need of some replacement. The window casings here are really old. So obviously there's some maintenance issues with some of the residences in the downtown area. And that's not, we're not trying to cast blame. There's people that live there. They are your residents. But this, certainly when you see conditions like that, obviously the people living there deserve good living conditions, and certainly that is one of the faces of that people see in terms of traveling through that downtown area. What do they see? Do they see something that's being maintained, being cared for? Or do they see something that's not being maintained? This is a sort of a Google Street View of Williamson Park. It's actually not the park itself. This is Joint Toll Bridge Commission property right here. The park is a great asset to the borough, but what we sort of saw, and now granted this was winter time when there's less people using the park, we saw some areas that seem to be a little bit underutilized. Obviously the borough does not own this particular property, but it does connect to Williamson Park. It would be a tremendous asset to the community if there was some sort of active use going on here. You're in an urban area, so every bit of parkland, as you well know, is extremely valuable. You want to create a face to that open space that shows that the community cares about that space, that it's valued by the community. And just looking at this picture here, you'll notice this fence sort of moving along and sort of goes nowhere. I don't know exactly what the purpose is there.
That fence is gone.
Is it gone?
Right,
Is it? Okay.
Just got rid of it.
Yeah. Bob did say he was going to get rid of that fence the last time we did this presentation. So obviously Bob's making stuff happen. So, but yeah. So obviously you sort of see the same issues. I mean, but you have these trees here. Obviously trees are a good thing, but like I said, every acre or every square foot of parkland in a more urban setting is valuable. So let's try to take advantage of it. Let's assign a purpose to it, whether it's open fields or it's an area that people sort of passively enjoy nature or the many different things that you can do in a park. All right, so moving on. Another interesting thing about the downtown is this rail spur that extends from the Staley property up along Delmore here, behind these buildings, behind the smoke shop there, behind these buildings here, and on out westward under Route 1. From what you can see the different areas that we took pictures of. We understand that there's still rail service there that goes through maybe 3 times a week. Twice a week, okay, that's even
Twice a
better.
day sometimes.
What's that?
Twice a day sometimes.
Twice a day
The cars that
sometimes?
come in have to go back out.
Okay, and then is that usually in the daytime or nighttime? Or
Just while we were sitting here.
Usually midday.
midday?
Midday, nighttime.
Interesting.
Matter of fact, on my way here,
Yeah.
they were crossing me out, they held me up a few minutes.
Okay.
Stay here.
That's the usual excuse everybody uses, right?
Yeah. Bank sugar was coming
Yeah.
in.
So, this is obviously it's active rail, and, so we don't really have a lot of control over that, but we might have some ideas for this particular rail spur. A couple other uses that we saw, we have this restaurant here. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it. Thank you. But, so we have, this was really interesting, these concrete blocks that we have right in the middle of the parking lot. I assume they're still there.
Yes.
But sort of, I guess,
They're spreading.
homemade access management, I guess it's to manage the trucks that come there. So, there probably was a problem with them. They decided, well, we're going to put these in so that the trucks aren't parking everywhere for their other customers. So that's it might work for them and they might do good business, but it doesn't present a good face, to the borough. And then we have this speed shop here on the corner of Delmore and Bridge. You can't quite see it, but I'm assuming the owner or employee has just parked their car right out front.
They do car washes out there, I'm sure.
Or, but more auto-oriented use. We have garage doors on the side, and there's another one on the other side. They have, nice little windows here and everything, but the face, or it's more auto-oriented. What they're showing, to the community is that, they don't really care as much about the pedestrian, they don't care about cars. These are just some of those things that we noticed that, were issues in the downtown area. So I don't have all the bad things to say. We have some positive things to say. You still have some great buildings. There's the old bank building. I think a toy manufacturer is going to move in there.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's great news that somebody's going to move into that building, and I hear that person is particularly interested in doing some good things for the borough. So that's a great thing. We have the Stock and Parts building, which they're putting residents above and a restaurant on the bottom. Yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
Plus something else, I don't think the restaurant was taking up a whole lot.
Okay, well, that's even better. More uses, and you get more people here, more people that might want to take advantage of the downtown, use some of the stores and whatnot that are there, as well as the local eating establishments. So this is obviously positive news. And then we have the Renaissance building here, which is, I think that was built maybe 10, 15 years ago or something like that. Yeah. So that's really perfect. You have street level retail as well as room for, I guess there are offices above.
That's where the toy manufacturer was.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So that would be a great place for somebody else to move into. I'm sure it's a great space. These are some buildings that sort of reflect what we want to see in the commercial district, in that downtown area, places that have that street level feel to it, especially the retail. You get walkers, you get people, you get activity along the street. It creates a vibrancy to your commercial district, and that helps with other businesses and helps with future economic development efforts. Other uses, you have the Wells Fargo Bank here, in these historic buildings. I think they're historic.
One is.
Okay, all right, one is historic, and one is probably like an addition.
Yes.
Later years, okay. You still have some existing street level retail, you see a barber shop here. And then we have our, popular little lunch places that I know that are popular with the local residents, that are, good businesses to have in this neighborhood. All right, so one of the things that we wanted to do was sort of find out who owns these properties. Just kind of look like a snapshot. We didn't exactly need to know, well, who exactly owns these and what are they doing, but we put together this map just based on ownership records. And what we try to do is capture all the owners who own more than one property. So right away you notice this red, and this is Morrisville Borough. So this shows all the properties. It doesn't show all of them. I think there's probably some down here as well. But we kind of we could have just put these up and not ignore these properties over here. But obviously Morrisville Borough owns a couple different properties within that downtown area, which is really good because you have control over those properties. You can do something with them. You're not waiting on somebody else. You can go ahead and make changes to those properties if you so desire. But another, one of the interesting things that we noticed was there's actually only one owner of all these properties right here. And, looking at some of those properties, some of the buildings look like they've seen better years, and they could use some fixing up. But the other aspect to this was the fact that this particular property owner also owns these parcels right here, right in front of the park. And, basically using those properties for parking. I know, me just kind of driving by it, I thought, wow, it doesn't really look that great. Well, why does the borough allow that? Well, the borough allows it because they don't own it. It's fine that they own that part, they own the land, they can do that, but, it's that face to this community asset, this huge community asset that, that the borough has. It's kind of, I guess, a bit of a challenge for, the community to see what can be done with those properties, see how we can get that property owner maybe to comply with code and maybe even do a little bit more. Hey, look, we know your parking lot is up to code and everything's fine, but can you fix the fence? Can you do this? Can you pave it? Can you make it look nicer? Would you be interested in selling, that type of thing? So that's one of the sort of the challenges, I guess, that Morrisville is going to face, sort of moving forward. All right. Another thing we looked at was possibly incompatible zoning. Some of these things I think are definitely incompatible. Other things I think you might be able to argue a little bit. We looked at certain permitted uses that are allowed in the downtown, but don't necessarily make sense in terms of a downtown setting. And these include shopping centers, fast service eating restaurants. So like anything that is like a fast food restaurant, like a drive-through. You don't want drive-throughs in downtowns because again, it's an auto-oriented use. It sort of takes up a lot of space. If there's no interest to a pedestrian, pedestrian's not going to walk up to the drive-through window. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then there was a couple other uses that we saw there, like shopping center. You think of a big typical shopping center with a lot of parking. And, again, we don't necessarily allow that type of use in the downtown area just because it's going to take up a lot of space in terms of the required parking. And it's not, usually you have those things that are a little bit, they're set back from the road. Again, ruining that sort of rhythm that a downtown setting has. Repair shop, mortuary, motel, hotel, tourist home, motel, hotel possibly allow something like that. Auto accessory use, accessory sales possibly. Repair shop, automotive, I would tend to say no. Wholesale businesses, craftsman shop, publishing, electronic print, binding, outside storage, travel trailers, boats, and definitely don't want to have these type of uses in a downtown area. And then curiously, we saw a couple other things. We saw that municipal park and walking trail were not permitted uses. One of the things that was odd was that walking trail wasn't used at all. We don't really typically see something like that. And then the dimensional requirements that could be a problem would be the 15% open space, as well as the 40-foot maximum building height. So these are some of the issues with the zoning in the C1 district. And obviously, this would be these would be uses and dimensions that Morrisville would have to think about pretty carefully in terms of creating any kind of new zoning regulations. All right, so let's look at the economic perspective of Morrisville's downtown. So one of the publications that we've been sort of looking at the Planning Commission in recent years is something called Vibrant Streets. It's a publication that come out of a DC-based nonprofit. And what they did is they looked at all the different successful downtown commercial districts, throughout the United States and throughout the world. They looked at, actually I shouldn't say all of them, but many of them. And so what they tried to do is figure out, well, what are the relevant factors, or what are the relevant factors that these successful areas have in common? What are the things that they don't have in common? What are those things that maybe they do sort of have in common? So what I decided to do is just sort of list out some of the things that they found that all these successful areas had in common, as well as the ones that were somewhat relevant. So relevant factors that they found included the average sidewalk width. Most of these districts had a nice, fairly wide average sidewalk width. Most of them were supported by the Merchants Association. They were located within a historic district. Underground utilities, low vacancy rates, good ratio of local, regional to national tenants, supported by civic anchors or cultural anchors. They had a large daily traffic count. They had a good walk score. Walk score is it's a website that you can go to, and you plug in a location, and they'll tell you how walkable an area is just based on how close that that node that you pick out is to various community amenities. And then number of vehicles per household within a quarter mile, and as well as public parking. Somewhat relevant factors included public open space, a streetscape design program, residential population, a large residential population within a half mile, median household income within a half mile, and average retail rents. So really when you look at a lot of these factors, you're probably thinking, well, I don't know if we have a lot of those things. And you're probably right. I mean, it's not, you pretty much, you're not going to bury your utilities. That's just not going to happen. It's not. It's about thousands on the list here. I'm sure that there's many other things that can be done. But certainly other things that we kind of, when we look at the average or the relevant factors, certainly there are other things that that can be done to improve the prospects of the district. So, but having said that, there are some economic realities of the older downtown commercial district. Another publication that we've sort of been looking at lately is Facts and Pitfalls on the way to a new vibrancy in old retail district. And this was written by a fellow named Ed Block, who had a lot of experience with Manayunk and the success that Manayunk had many years ago. I always thought, well, Manayunk was always successful. Well, apparently it wasn't. That back in the 80s, they worked very hard commercial area vibrant and successful, and we continue to do that to this day. So anyway, this fellow, Ed Block, he came from a marketing background, and so he worked on marketing shopping centers and other type of commercial areas. He did market studies for them, and he tried to figure out, well, where's the best location for these places in terms of the population, and in terms of the income, and location at key intersections, and so he came from that sort of background where it was just really hard economics. Where's the money? Where's the money? These companies would hire these marketing firms so that they would have their shopping center in the exact right location to capture the largest market. So what Ed points out in this book is that your existing downtown areas, the reason they sort of exist as a district at all is because many years ago people were a captured audience. Okay, they were a captured market. Okay, so if you wanted, say, to do your shopping, you had to go to downtown. I mean, you really didn't have much of a choice. You didn't own a car necessarily, and even if you did own a car, you certainly weren't going to get in it and drive many miles when you could just go to the local shopping district and get what you needed. If you needed something like more expensive or something more specialized, you drove to Philadelphia, or you took transit to Philadelphia. More likely, you took transit to Philadelphia, or some other major regional center. So your local shopping district, your local downtown, was a captured market. People had no other option but to go to that downtown and make use of those stores in the downtown. So that's no longer true, as we all well know. Obviously, easy transportation, explosion of the internet, local shopping districts just really can't compete with that, especially for those type of day-to-day consumer items. So the modern shopping center, and just go to point 2 here. So the modern shopping center, though, is even designed to serve larger markets than ever. I mean, how many of us will travel, and not even think about it, travel like 50 miles to go shop at one particular area, whether it's the King of Prussia Mall, or it's a particular furniture store, it's outlet stores. I mean, these places are all just designed to crawl that huge market. And again, downtowns can't compete with that. Many of the centers are specifically geared towards purchase patterns based on targeted market studies. They have market studies. They have, they can spend all kinds of money on the exact type of store that they need to put in their shopping center to help gather that huge target market area. And then I mentioned the cheap personal transportation, the subsidized parking, makes those shopping centers accessible and convenient. And the final factor that's sort of working against the older commercial district is that the residential markets that surround those older districts have lost their purchasing powers as low and moderate income families often populate these areas. And you certainly know that is true for Morrisville Borough. And that's not to say that there's this is just terrible area. No, Morrisville, it has a nice mix. It has a nice mix of different economic strata, but certainly within that downtown area, that immediate market, there are some people that are struggling. And then certainly across the river, there are a whole community of a couple 100,000 people, I don't know, a couple 10,000 people, I have no idea how many people are in Trenton, but that are struggling themselves. So in looking at these market areas, and this is just going to go towards the actual numbers to back up what I just stated, what we did was we used a company called Esri, and Esri is like a GIS, Geographic Information System company, and they do all different types of mapping solutions for different companies and organizations. And so what they have is something called a business analyst. And what business analyst is it's a GIS program that you can pick out a target market area. You can plop a point on a map, or you can select an entire area, and it will give you all the demographics within that area. It'll take census data, and it'll within a certain market area, it'll tell you exactly how many people are in that area, how much they make, what their purchase patterns are, what the leakage from the market is in terms of like what are people spending, what are people going outside of that market to purchase. And so it's a really good tool for businesses, and it's a good tool for us to determine what's going on within this area. So what we did was we plopped down a point right there, right at the corner of Pennsylvania and Bridge Street, and we drew. Well, we didn't draw it. We had the computer program draw different market areas depending upon drive time from that central location. So this green line represents a 5-minute drive from that location that we dropped down on the map at the corner of Pennsylvania and Bridge Street. So the red line represents the 10-minute drive from that point outwards. The blue line represents a 15-minute drive from this location. Now this is by actual roads, okay? It's not as the crow flies. So, I mean, if you look at it, this 5-minute drive time encompasses, much of Morrisville, as well as areas of Trenton across the river. The red line goes a little bit further, areas out into, I guess, Lower Mayfield, south towards Falls Township, and areas a little bit beyond Trenton. And then this blue line reaches much greater areas in Lower Bucks County, and then areas of Mercer County. So that gives you an idea of the market areas. And so what we did is we ran an analysis for those target areas. So within that 5-minute drive, you have a population of 26,000, average household size of 2.42. We have owner-occupied units at 34%, renter-occupied at 52%, vacant units at 14.1%, median household income is $61,000, median age 37.6, race and ethnicity 49% white, 32% black, 28% Hispanic. All right, so now you go out to the 10-minute drive. 190,000 people, 2.68 household size, 50% occupied, 39% rental, rate vacant units 8.6, median household income 72,000. Similar median age, slightly different ethnic background. So now out to that 15-minute drive time. Now you go to a population of almost 400,000 people, much greater owner-occupied units, lower vacant units, higher median household income, similar, a little bit older, different racial, ethnic composition. Right now, Morrisville's downtown is probably serving this market here. Okay, so if you look at the type of uses that are in that downtown, you have your cigarette shop, so the one thing that people just love here. You have some nail salons. I mean, every community has its nail salons. They have their smoke shops, but there just seems to be that concentration in that downtown. You have cell phone stores, convenience stores. This is a convenience market here, and that's what the downtown is serving. They're serving that convenience market. It's certainly not serving this, and it's certainly not serving this. At the same time, this is your opportunity right here. That 0 to 15-minute drive, that much greater market. But you gotta give people a reason to come to that downtown area. You gotta give them the stores, you gotta give them the amenities that they would be looking. You have to give them a reason to say, let's go to Morrisville. People do say that about, you know, communities like New Hope or Doylestown, or, you know, some of the other older boroughs that we have here in Bucks County. And you say, hey, let's go do that, and we'll walk around, we'll get some lunch, and, you know, we'll look this way. People do that. And people do that from, I think, Doylestown attracts people all the way from, like, the Jersey Shore. This is obviously pie in the sky, but that's what you're looking to do. You're looking to draw in that much greater market, other than you're not looking to no longer serve that convenience market. I mean, there always will be the stores that convenience market needs, but, you know, that's not going to make Morrisville's downtown successful. All right, so what are the things that we can do as planners to help Morrisville Borough move forward? So in terms of our planning process, you know, we don't, you know, we approach this, you know, as planners. We approach this as, you know, what physically can be done for the borough to add something, you know, beyond, you know, we can't just make people come in terms of, you know, overturning stores and bringing in something nice. What we can do is, you know, help make Morrisville a better place, something that's more attractive both to people outside the community, but as well as people inside the community. I know there are people who live here that are just dying for something, you know, they're like, they look at this stuff, it's like, oh my God, this could be so much more. Look what we got here, and look what we got here, and they want to be excited about something. So what we want to do is put something together for the borough to get you excited about, get people interested in the downtown, and maybe get the ball rolling on, you know, not only projects, but, you know, further development efforts. So what I did was just sort of overlay existing community assets. Right here, Williamson Park. Right here, we have the levee trail. I mean, this is just something that's just, I think a lot of people don't know about this. But just standing up there on a beautiful, crisp day, it's awesome. It is awesome. So this is something that I think is, you know, certainly, you know, locals know about it, people who work over in Trent, they know about it, but I think the greater Bucks County community doesn't know about it. You have the towpath here. Obviously, borough office is here. You have Mill Pond here. I mean, obviously, I know the borough doesn't control Mill Pond, but it is an asset. It's not going to go someplace. And I think that's certainly something that people have said, looked at it and said, well, gosh, couldn't we do something with that thing? You know, I know it doesn't look so great now, but, you know, isn't there something we could do with it? So what we did is start to overlay some of the possibilities. You know, here's the possibility right here, is to acquire this land from the Joint Toll Bridge Commission, maybe do something with that, maybe fix up the edge here and create a more usable parkland here. You have the Lehigh Rubber property. Maybe we can get an owner in there that would be interested in doing something, you know, oriented towards, you know, some kind of activity, whether it's something that serves, you know, bicyclists on the trail. You know, I know a lot of people talk about a brew pub or something like that there, something that would get some excitement into the community. Maybe something else, maybe a restaurant, maybe, I don't know, but something that, you know, will bring some activity down to this area here. Then we have the Bridge Street connector, which I know is still on target to be designed and constructed. I mean, that's something that I think is going to be a tremendous asset to Morrisville Borough. You know, especially when we start to lay over some of the other ideas that we have for the downtown area. All right, so now we have, you know, assets here, we have assets here. Well, now we can start, you know, working on, you know, improving this whole commercial corridor along here. Maybe get some new zoning in, maybe get some new stores, maybe you know, do some street improvements, some new street trees, new parking, something to get some activity, more activity along this Bridge Street corridor. Another idea that came out of our discussions was not a rails to trails, but a rails and trails type connector. That you could possibly put a trail alongside that rail line and provide connections from here along here, maybe to this area here. Now this looks like I think it's a stormwater basin next to the hotel. So another idea that came out was, well, could this be a trailhead? You have the towpath right here. You could have possibility of a connector along here. This could connect up to the levee here. You know, you have a hotel right here. If you made this into a trailhead where people could go and they would get on this trail and they would go up and down the towpath, wouldn't people want to stay in this hotel? I mean, that's a possibility as well. Further ideas. You can start to begin to think about these corridors here as well. Now that we have this established as our main commercial corridor, what can we do with these corridors here? I'm sure there's lots of opportunities to improve these corridors as well. And then finally, we can start to look at maybe some other properties and, you know, future down the road improvements. Maybe this levee that I just talked about that people, I think, just don't know about. Maybe there's some improvements that could be done along that levee. Maybe formalize it somehow. Maybe some kind of boardwalk. Something that would get, again, people get excited about, give them a reason to visit Morrisville Borough. And this land here, which is more of a traditional shopping center, you know, perhaps that's a future opportunity to come up with some sort of dense mixed-use opportunity. It's a lot of land right there, and these are, you know, somewhat older buildings. Maybe a developer comes along and says to whoever owns that property, and says, hey, look, you know, I've got this opportunity, you know, can you sell this to me? And, you know, they move forward with some kind of, you know, mixed-use type of building with commercial retail on the bottom here, and maybe some apartments above. Again, bring more residents to downtown. You have more residents. Now you have that captured audience, you've got captured market that might want to use you know, different restaurants and stores up and down the commercial corridor. So, in conclusion, I know I went over a lot of stuff here. You know, we feel that you know, what ought to be done is that we should make use of physical planning and public improvements to help develop that unique identity. That's some of the things I just went over. Obviously, address code violations and develop consistent outreach to property owners. You know, in the case of property owners, it's not always about just saying, hey, look, you know, you're violating the code. Here's a notice violation. Sometimes it's just maintaining that open communication with the property owners, saying, hey, look, you know, this is what we're trying to do in the downtown. This is our plan. This is kind of what we want to see it look like. Is there anything you can do for us? You know, sort of maintain that conversation with them. They might want to say, okay, yeah, sure. Because what they can do is that they fix up the property, make it a lot nicer. Well, now they can maybe, you know, bring their rents up a little bit. You know, and get you know, get some people in there that might be able to pay a little bit more. Establish a civic anchor. I do think that is an important aspect to a downtown, is to have something that the community can sort of latch onto. Whether, you know, in a lot of other communities, it's like the movie theater that people sort of latch onto. I think it's just kind of my feeling, and this is based on my observation. I don't know how people actually feel, but you know, Williamson Park. I mean, that's you know, a huge park. You know, in a community like Morrisville, and I think that would be something that people could just, you know, really rally around and really try to improve and really try to, you know, use as an identity to Morrisville Borough. And then finally, we want to, you know, break out the box. This is something that Ed Block says in his book. You know, just to really to look beyond that convenience market and to look at that greater market, and figure out how to bring in stores that are going to capture that larger market, so that you get people from all over the area coming to Morrisville Borough and taking advantage of the amenities, taking advantage of the different stores that it might have to offer, and you know, really marketing it as a sort of a modern commercial area. Just some ideas and products. This is just based out of conversations that we had staff-wise. Rails and trails, as I went over before. Perhaps you have community theater on Delmar?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe they want to move, maybe they don't want to be up there anymore, maybe, I think it's like an old warehouse building they're using. So, maybe you have something bigger that they could move to, and you could start to draw in, people from around the region that, you could fill their theater a little bit more. Yeah, exactly, yeah, absolutely. Public events, community gardens, farmers markets, incorporating the local community organizations, mixed-use opportunity possibly at Lehigh Rubber, and then outreach to property and business owners. So these are just some of the ideas we just kind of kicked around in terms of what can Morrisville do. I mean, obviously you're going to have your own thoughts on what can be done. And then finally, in terms of an actual product that we as a planning commission could produce,